Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Act as a substitute. Serving or used in place of another. Be a substitute. The young teacher had to substitute for the sick colleague. Put in the place of another. Switch seemingly equivalent items. Substitute regular milk for fat-free milk. Capable of substituting in any of several positions on a team. Someone who takes the place of another, as when things get dangerous or difficult. An athlete who plays only when a starter on the team is replaced. Artificial and inferior. Substitute coffee. A person or thing that takes or can take the place of another. Act as a substitute. Appoint as a substitute. Act as a substitute. Appoint as a substitute. Act as a substitute. Get involved, so as to alter or hinder an action, or through force or threat of force. Be an understudy or alternate for a role. Reverse, a direction, attitude, or course of action. Do something in turns. Serving or used in place of another. Go back and forth. Swing back and forth between two states or conditions. Occurring by turns. First one and then the other. Someone who takes the place of another person. Every second one of a series. The cleaning lady comes on alternate Wednesdays. Exchange people temporarily to fulfill certain jobs and functions. Of leaves and branches etc. First on one side and then on the other in two ranks along an axis, not paired. Stems with alternate leaves. Serving or used in place of another. An alternative plan. One of a number of things from which only one can be chosen. There is no other alternative. Necessitating a choice between mutually exclusive possibilities. Alternative possibilities were neutrality or war. Pertaining to unconventional choices. An alternative lifestyle. Write all the required information onto a form. Be a substitute. Represent the effect of shade or shadow on. Supply with information on a specific topic. Be a substitute. A large sandwich made of a long crusty roll split lengthwise and filled with meats and cheese, and tomato and onion and lettuce and condiments. Different names are used in different sections of the United States. Be a substitute. The young teacher had to substitute for the sick colleague. A submersible warship usually armed with torpedoes. Exchange or replace with another, usually of the same kind or category. The act of changing one thing for another thing. Adam was promised immortality in exchange for his disobedience. Give to, and receive from, one another. Put in the place of another. Switch seemingly equivalent items. Reciprocal transfer of equivalent sums of money, especially the currencies of different countries. Exchange a penalty for a less severe one. A workplace that serves as a telecommunications facility where lines from telephones can be connected together to permit communication. The act of putting one thing or person in the place of another. Sports. An unbroken sequence of several successive strokes. change over, change around, as to a new order or sequence. A mutual expression of views, especially an unpleasant one. They had a bitter exchange. A workplace for buying and selling, open only to members. Chemical process in which one atom or ion or group changes places with another. Chess, gaining, or losing, a rook in return for a knight or bishop. Black lost the exchange. Chess, the capture by both players, usually on consecutive moves, of pieces of equal value. The endgame began after the exchange of queens. Hand over one and receive another, approximately equivalent. Exchange prisoners. The act of giving something in return for something received. Deductible losses on sales or exchanges of property are allowable. Reverse, a direction, attitude, or course of action. Mutual interaction, the activity of reciprocating or exchanging, especially information. The act of changing one thing for another thing. There was an interchange of prisoners. Give to, and receive from, one another. Put in the place of another, switch seemingly equivalent items. Synonyms can be interchanged without changing the context's meaning. Reciprocal transfer of equivalent sums of money, especially the currencies of different countries. He earns his living from the interchange of currency. Cause to change places. Interchange this screw for one of a smaller size. A junction of highways on different levels that permits traffic to move from one to another without crossing traffic streams. Put in the place of another, switch seemingly equivalent items. The con artist replaced the original with a fake Rembrandt. Put something back where it belongs. Replace the book on the shelf after you have finished reading it. Take the place or move into the position of. Smith replaced Miller as CEO after Miller left. Substitute a person or thing for another that is broken or inefficient or lost or no longer working or yielding what is expected. He replaced the old razor blade. Computer science, a program designed for general support of the processes of a computer. A computer system provides utility programs to perform the tasks needed by most users. The quality of being of practical use. Used a beef. Usable but inferior. A company that performs a public service, subject to government regulation. Capable of substituting in any of several positions on a team. A utility infielder. A facility composed of one or more pieces of equipment connected to or part of a structure and designed to provide a service such as heat or electricity or water or sewage disposal. Economics. A measure that is to be maximized in any situation involving choice. The service, electric power or water or transportation, provided by a public utility. A musical part, vocal or instrumental, that supports or provides background for other musical parts. Computer science. A copy of a file or directory on a separate storage device. He made a backup in case the original was accidentally damaged or erased. The act of providing approval and support. Someone who takes the place of another, as when things get dangerous or difficult. An accumulation caused by clogging or a stoppage. A traffic backup on the main street. Someone who takes the place of another, as when things get dangerous or difficult. Someone who takes the place of another, as when things get dangerous or difficult. We need extra employees for summer fill-ins. The feeling that comes when something burdensome is removed or reduced. As he heard the news, he was suddenly flooded with relief. Sculpture consisting of shapes carved on a surface so as to stand out from the surrounding background. A change for the better. Assistance in time of difficulty. The contributions provided some relief for the victims. The act of reducing something unpleasant, as pain or annoyance. He asked the nurse for relief from the constant pain. A pause for relaxation. Someone who takes the place of another, as when things get dangerous or difficult. The condition of being comfortable or relieved, especially after being relieved of distress. He enjoyed his relief from responsibility. Aid for the aged or indigent or handicapped. He has been on relief for many years. Law, redress awarded by a court. Was the relief supposed to be protection from future harm or compensation for past injury? The act of freeing a city or town that has been besieged. He asked for troops for the relief of Atlanta. A pitcher who does not start the game. A person who reduces the intensity, e.g., of fears, and calms and pacifies. A reliever of anxiety. Someone who takes the place of another, as when things get dangerous or difficult. Someone who takes the place of another, as when things get dangerous or difficult. The star had a stand-in for dangerous scenes. Give or assign a resource to a particular person or cause. Something kept back or saved for future use or a special purpose. A district that is reserved for particular purpose. The trait of being uncommunicative, not volunteering anything more than necessary. Armed forces that are not on active duty but can be called in an emergency. An athlete who plays only when a starter on the team is replaced. Formality and propriety of manner. Arrange for and reserve, something for someone else, in advance. Reserve me a seat on a flight. Hold back or set aside, especially for future use or contingency. Medicine. Potential capacity to respond in order to maintain vital functions. Obtain or arrange, for oneself, in advance. We managed to reserve a table at Maxim's. An athlete who plays only when a starter on the team is replaced. Artificial and inferior. Ersatz coffee. An artificial or inferior substitute or imitation. A person who follows next in order. An event in which one thing is substituted for another. The replacement of lost blood by a transfusion of donor blood. Filling again by supplying what has been used up. The act of furnishing an equivalent person or thing in the place of another. Someone who takes the place of another person. A person or thing that takes or can take the place of another. Coil such that current is induced in it by passing a current through the primary coil. Inferior in rank or status. Being of second rank or importance or value, not direct or immediate. The stone will be hauled to a secondary crusher. Belonging to a lower class or rank. Depending on or incidental to what is original or primary. A secondary infection. Not of major importance. Played a secondary role in world events. The defensive football players who line up behind the linemen. Lacking material form or substance, unreal. Contrived by art rather than nature. Lacking in reality or substance or genuineness, not corresponding to acknowledged facts or criteria. Ghosts and other unreal entities. Not actually such, being or seeming fanciful or imaginary. This conversation is getting more and more unreal. Artificially formal. That artificial humility that her husband hated. Contrived by art rather than nature. Artificial flowers. Not arising from natural growth or characterized by vital processes. Take the place or move into the position of. Take the place or move into the position of. Take the place or move into the position of. The computer has supplanted the slide rule. Lay aside, abandon, or leave for another. The car changed lanes. Cause to change, make different, cause a transformation. The discussion has changed my thinking about the issue. Exchange or replace with another, usually of the same kind or category. He changed his name. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The change was intended to increase sales. Become different in some particular way, without permanently losing one's or its former characteristics or essence. Her mood changes in accordance with the weather. Give to, and receive from, one another. Would you change places with me? Become deeper in tone. His voice began to change when he was 12 years old. Change from one vehicle or transportation line to another. She changed in Chicago on her way to the East Coast. A difference that is usually pleasant. It is a refreshing change to meet a woman mechanic. A different or fresh set of clothes. She brought a change in her overnight bag. A relational difference between states, especially between states before and after some event. He attributed the change to their marriage. A thing that is different. He inspected several changes before selecting one. Change clothes. Put on different clothes. Coins of small denomination regarded collectively. He had a pocketful of change. Money received in return for its equivalent in a larger denomination or a different currency. He got change for a 20 and used it to pay the taxi driver. Remove or replace the coverings of. Father had to learn how to change the baby. The action of changing something. The change of government had no impact on the economy. The balance of money received when the amount you tender is greater than the amount due. I paid with a 20 and pocketed the change. The result of alteration or modification. There were marked changes in the lining of the lungs. Undergo a change. Become different in essence, losing one's or its original nature. She changed completely as she grew older. Cause to change. Make different. Cause a transformation. Add a modifier to a constituent. Make less severe or harsh or extreme. Please modify this letter to make it more polite.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.